You know that feeling? You finish a course, you're all fired up, ready to change your life, and then, just a few weeks later, boom, you're right back where you started. Well, today, we are tackling that exact problem. We're going to dig into the final chapter of the NeuroRenewal course to figure out how to make personal growth actually stick. We're talking about bearing fruit that really, truly remains.
Okay, let's just be honest. I think we can all relate to this, right? You take a course or you read a book, and you have this incredible aha moment. And for a little while, everything feels different. But then, life happens. The next thing you know, you find yourself slipping right back into those same old patterns. So why? Why is it so darn hard to make positive changes last?
The NeuroRenewal course actually has a name for this. They call it the post-course problem. And it's all about that tricky period when the class is over, the structured support is gone, and you're just back out there in the real world, face-to-face with the very things that created those old habits in the first place.
So here is the absolute key takeaway. That one single powerful insight, that aha moment, it's not enough to really rewire your brain. The real nitty-gritty work starts after the inspiration fades. Because when the pressure from your job, your family, or just plain old exhaustion kicks in, our brains, well, they crave the easy path. And that's those old, worn-out, reactive pathways. Lasting change is forged in the fire of repetition, not just in the flash of a single revelation. And this is exactly why the course suggests that any journey of renewal shouldn't just end with a final exam or a tidy little summary. It has to end with witness. It's all about taking what you've experienced on the inside and turning it into a story that you can actually share out loud. And this is what testimony really means in this context. It's not just, listing your accomplishments. It's the powerful act of weaving everything together, the learning, the struggles, the moments of grace, the practice, and giving it a voice. When you can actually name what's different, what's still hard, and where you found hope, well, that makes the change real. It anchors it.
And it is so important to see the difference here between a faithful testimony and some polished success story. We are not talking about a perfect before and after picture, where all your problems have just magically vanished. Think of it less like a highlight reel and more like the director's commentary. An honest account of the journey itself, fully acknowledging that the work is still going on.
And this quote just brilliantly illustrates the power of sharing these honest stories. See, when people hear principles embodied in a real person's life, with all of its messy, hopeful, repentant reality, it moves these big ideas from the abstract to something tangible and real. It doesn't just help the person sharing, it strengthens the entire community.
And that whole idea of strengthening the community, it leads us to an even bigger point. Because really, the purpose of this renewal is never just about self-improvement. It's about equipping you to go out and serve others.
The course calls this commissioning. And it's this idea that when you complete a journey of renewal, you're not just graduating. You're being entrusted with a totally new way of seeing the world and caring for the people in it. Your personal growth now comes with a responsibility to use it for good. Just think for a second about what a renewed, steadier mind makes possible. As you can see here, it creates the internal space to truly listen, to engage in conflict with more gentleness, and to offer a presence that is grounded in a more truthful, a more durable kind of hope. Your renewal becomes this amazing gift you can share with everyone around you.
Okay, so we've got the why, right? The witness and the commission. But what about the how? Let's get into the practical stuff. The nuts and bolts of building the scaffolding that makes these new habits durable enough for the long haul.
The research is crystal clear on this. Good intentions are just not enough. To turn an insight into an automatic habit, it needs to be repeated over and over in specific contexts and enacted in a way that feels meaningful to you. The real challenge is moving from "I should do this" to "this is just who I am now."
Now, this slide is really fascinating because it completely shatters a popular myth. I'm sure you've heard it a million times. It takes 21 days to form a new habit, right? Well, it turns out the reality is a whole lot more complicated. The actual range, according to research, is closer to 18 to 254 days.
And that massive range makes perfect sense when you stop and think about it. A simple habit like drinking a glass of water when you wake up is totally different from a complex behavioral change, like altering the way you react in a conflict. This data isn't supposed to be discouraging. It's meant to help us set realistic expectations. Real, meaningful change takes time, and it takes a whole lot of patience.
So how in the world do we stay consistent over that long haul? The course suggests creating what it calls a rule of life. Now, this isn't some rigid, pressure-filled list of duties. Think of it more like a small, simple, and repeatable set of non-negotiable practices that act like anchors, keeping your core principles close and making it way easier to get back on track when you drift. And, the most sustainable rules are usually modest and really clear. Just look at this example. A daily moment of reflection, maybe a few brief pauses during the day just to recenter, and one honest conversation a week with someone you trust. See? These simple anchors create a weekly rhythm that supports lasting renewal without being overwhelming. There's another piece to this puzzle that we often forget about, probably because it can feel, a little soft maybe, and that's celebration. But this is a deeply formative practice. It literally trains your brain to notice grace, to honor the progress you've actually made, and to fight back against that powerful tendency we all have to only see what's still broken or unfinished. So, when was the last time you truly celebrated a small win?
And we can practice this by intentionally noticing these little moments of growth and happiness across all the different dimensions of our lives. How does your body feel more at peace? How has your thinking shifted, even a little bit? How are your relationships improving? Where do you feel a deeper connection to your purpose? Noticing these things, from the biological to the spiritual, is a powerful act of reinforcement.
All right, finally, let's talk about the mindset that holds all of this together. Because the entire journey of renewal is framed not by a demand for perfection, but by a powerful, enduring hope.
So this brings in a really big idea, but one with profound psychological implications. It's the belief that while the renewal we experience right now is absolutely real and meaningful, it's also understood to be, a work in progress. We're on a journey, anticipating a future where all things are finally made new.
And this perspective is incredibly freeing. It allows you to put in the hard work of change without that crushing, suffocating pressure to get it perfectly right now. It means you can admit when you've slipped up, and then you just get right back to your practices without seeing every single stumble as some kind of total final failure.
And this brings us right back to where we started. The ultimate goal of our own renewal isn't just for us. It's to become a source of genuine, durable hope for other people. It's about being able to help people move beyond just coping with their struggles to living with a real, forward-looking hope. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I'll just leave you with this. Your journey of change, all your struggles, and all your growth, they have a purpose far beyond yourself. They are all forming a story. The only question is, what story will your life tell, and who will it bring hope to?